Straight from Elementor's office, the world's leading platform for web creators, we are here under the pink stairs for another episode of Elementox. This time, we're hosting Miriam Schwab, Head of WordPress Relations, and Rebecca Markowitz, R&D Release Manager, who will talk about the deep connection between Elementor and WordPress, the power of being part of an open source culture, and why there's nothing like face-to-face communication. Let's get started.
Hi, Miriam.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How about you?
Okay. It's weird to talk to you through a microphone and earphones.
It's true. It's true because we just had lunch together.
Yes.
So, Miriam, what is your role at Elementor?
Well, I actually think we should start with you. Rebecca, tell us about yourself. Who are you? What have you been doing the last years? What are you doing now?
I am the release manager in the R&D department and developer partnerships manager.
Those sound like two pretty different roles, right?
Yes, and yet I keep finding ways that they are so very connected, meaning we release a version and we want to be in touch with developers who are using Elementor and see if they have any feedback, if they tried our latest version, if they found any issues. We're like really in touch with that community to see how they felt about our latest version. So it doesn't sound as crazy as it seems.
That's interesting because I think we have been working together for a long time, and I think we've both seen throughout the years that different functions and different departments actually generally overlap, and the more different departments know about each other's activity, the better people can operate and excel at what they're doing.
Totally. At the end of the day, you keep finding ways. You know, it's one company and it's all trying to move towards the same direction. But when you get broken up into different departments, you can kind of lose sight of that. And so I love finding these new ways how like really we are all interconnected and one piece is connected to the next. And I really love figuring that out on on a daily basis.
In your roles, what excites you most? What gets you up in the morning?
I love that the team comes together. There's a lot of hubbub happening, as we release new versions. It's exciting. We have new features that we're releasing, and I know it's less exciting, but bugs that we're fixing. And every software has bugs, but these are important to our users. They've brought it to our attention. We want to fix it as fast as we can. Miriam, do you want to talk a little bit about what you do here at Elementor and what is Elementor?
Elementor is a platform for building and creating, managing and hosting websites. Elementor is a plugin, and all of our products are for WordPress websites. And in the WordPress ecosystem, we power over 25% of all WordPress websites. So 1 in every 4 sites is going to be an Elementor site. In addition to our well-known page builder, we also have our hosting product, and we have new apps and products that are growth engines for Elementor that are very exciting. Our AI technology and image optimizer.
Why do you think Elementor chose WordPress as the foundation for their platform?
WordPress was a revolutionary approach to bringing your voice to the web. It really democratized publishing, which is actually one of WordPress's missions, right? Here they are with a piece of software they can install easily. They can install functionality easily. They can install a design or what's known as a theme in WordPress easily. Also, the management of the content itself is pretty intuitive. If you could manage a Word document, then you can manage the content in a WordPress site. And then all you have to do is click publish and your content's live. Also, because WordPress is open source, that also makes it much more accessible. Unlike the other options at the time until today, which are called proprietary CMSs, content management systems. Proprietary means they're closed code. They have a team behind it that's limited, and you're fully dependent on them. And you have to pay a fee. And in those days, especially, the fee could be quite high. That meant that having a content management system for your website was really not accessible. But with open source, and specifically with WordPress, anyone could get up and running. It really is a product for everyone. That's also in WordPress's mission. And so if you're looking at that and you're looking at how it's being adopted and people were really excited about WordPress, it's a great place to be to bring more value. It took that message of democratizing publishing to the next level. You're making the page building experience much more accessible to people who aren't coders. The drag and drop experience is something that pretty much everyone can interact with. It's a really interesting space to be in, because if you say to someone, our business model is that we create a product that is free to download and is open source, and that's our business, that doesn't sound like a business model because you're basically giving away something for free that's super valuable. Yeah.
So how does Elementor make money?
So Elementor is actually not the only company that is based on open source. There's other well-known companies, even publicly traded ones, that are based on open source. So it works as a model, a business model. It's just, it has its different challenges, and you need to approach it differently. But it works. So Elementor creates this very valuable page builder and offers it in the WordPress plugin repository for everyone to use. And as we can see, people are enthusiastically adopt it, but it's a freemium type of model. And there are many other products like that where you download the free version and it takes you pretty far. It has a lot of capabilities. But if you are more professional, or you're building your website further, or you're taking your business more seriously, then you may want to consider using our premium products or Elementor Pro, and potentially hosting the website with Elementor hosting, etc. So that's the business model. And the advantages here are many. First of all, the reach that you can get, especially within an ecosystem like WordPress, where 43% of websites are powered by WordPress. And it's an ecosystem that's been growing really nicely. And also, you have an incredible feedback loop from the community and users when you're an open source product. Everything is out there. We have an open GitHub repository for our free plugin, for our core plugin. And people can submit issues and even submit merge requests. They can say, this is a fix for something. Please, can you consider merging it to your product? And we can, and we will often. So it's like a crowdsourced product, which I think, in my opinion, leads to better quality. When you have so many people with eyes on your product, it means that you're going to be really with your ear to the ground with the community and listening to how users are using it, and taking that feedback, including their active feedback, like actual code, and always making the product better. So that's a huge advantage to being an open source.
Totally. It's almost its own ecosystem within the ecosystem.
Yeah. So Elementor is like a micro ecosystem within WordPress. Last numbers I saw, there's something like over 1,000 Elementor plugin add-ons. What that means is, for the Elementor page builder, there are 1,000 other plugins available that people can use to add even further functionality to our plugin, which is amazing. It means we have a very active community around us, consistently trying to improve the user experience. And that's really important to our ecosystem. You're specifically very involved in that, in terms of being in touch and communicating with these add-ons and keeping up with the relationship. And I think you've been doing amazing work on that, really improving the quality, first of all, of our communication with them and the transparency around it, and also the quality of their own code. So can you share a bit about what you've been doing in that role?
Yeah, we've been doing a few different projects, working with our community of add-on developers. In terms of communication, every time we have a new version of the plugin, we send an update with key highlights and really encourage our developers to make sure that there's no compatibility issues with their plugin. And it really contributes, I think, to what you're getting at, which is 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, which is that we as Elementor are working with our add-on developers, and ultimately the users benefit from that. So as we hear over and over again that it's a big frustration for users that they're using Elementor, they're using add-ons, and then there's compatibility issues. We don't want that to happen. We don't want there to be compatibility issues. So we're trying to do everything we can to close that gap and make sure that ultimately there are no compatibility issues. Now, it takes one step at a time. As you said, there's thousands of plugins. There's even thousands of Elementor add-ons. There's a lot going on here, but we're doing all that we can to try to close that gap. One of the projects that we're doing is reaching out one by one to plugin developers to make sure they don't have any deprecated code in their plugins, to make sure that there's no conflicts going forward, and to make sure we nip that in the bud.
Before we continue, we wanted to remind you that Elementor is always on the lookout for talented professionals for various roles across all departments. Join our success and make an impact on web creators worldwide. Go to elementor.careers and find the position that's right for you. Back to Miriam and Rebecca.
So, Miriam, what is it that you do at Elementor?
So my position is called Head of WordPress Relations, which is a very unique position and kind of a weird title. It's not like it's a function that exists all over the place. You can be like, what do you do? And I'll be like, oh, I don't know, UX or product or something. It's everything that we do. It's about the people that we work with, right? So within a company, it's about your team members and also cross department or team interaction and communication. In the case of a product that's open source, it goes beyond the company itself, and it's about our communication, partnerships, and relationships with almost everybody in the open source ecosystem that we're part of, which is WordPress. That involves a number of things. First of all, we sponsor the flagship WordCamp conferences in Asia, Europe, and the US. We are part of the Five for the Future program, which is a program encouraging companies that benefit or profit from WordPress to contribute back to continue and maintain the sustainability and longevity of the project. So we're in the Five for the Future project. We contribute to two important teams, the performance team. So the performance team involves representatives from many companies, including Google. And that team is consistently working to improve the speed and performance of WordPress itself, which is for the betterment of obviously everyone using WordPress, because a faster site means better user experience for the people visiting your site. It's also better environmentally because it's using less resources to load. And it's better for Elementor as well, since we are built on top of WordPress. So a faster WordPress means faster Elementor experience. We also contribute to the WordPress plugin team. The plugins are really important to the success of WordPress. It's one of the reasons why it got to 43% of the web. And it's important to encourage more plugin developers to create new plugins and that we have fresh faces in the industry. And that takes a lot of resources because every plugin is actually reviewed to make sure that it's compatible, secure, and also not malicious. And that's better for everyone, but that takes time. And one of the interesting collaborations that we have going is actually with Google. Because Elementor has such a wide reach, Google is aware that by improving the performance of Elementor, it improves the performance of a huge chunk of the web in general and makes the web better for everyone. That's in Google's interest. So we actually partner with Google and some of their experts to work on making our plugin more performant and brainstorming with them and getting actual practical guidance from them on that, which is amazing. Also on our hosting, Elementor hosting is powered by Google Cloud. So also our team works with them on improving the performance of our hosting. And there's been tremendous results with Elementor hosting being, I think, among the fastest in WordPress at this point, according to Lighthouse statistics.
What are some examples of partnerships that you've created? So
it's 17 years of providing WordPress services and creating WordPress products. And it was through working with you that we became more connected to the WordPress community. So in particular, I remember someone else had been organizing the WordCamps in Israel. They did too. And then they kind of stopped because, there's so many reasons to not continue organizing like an open source conference. It's pretty challenging. And I think I said, should we organize it? And you said, you should go for it. And so I did, and we did. And we ended up organizing 5 WordCamps here in Israel.
And Matt Mullenweg even came to one.
That's right. It was, I think, the first one. We did it in Jerusalem. And I remember at that point, Matt was traveling around more to go to WordCamps. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to him. And I emailed him or something. And it's like, hey, Matt, we're doing a WordCamp in Jerusalem. You want to come? And he replied, and he said, yes. And he came with a few other automaticians, some of whom still work at Automatic till today and are key players. And that was really cool to have the co-creator of WordPress come to our WordCamp. That's a statement.
Totally.
You remember him coming and checking in at the...
I do remember.
So that was cool. And so we've been working in the WordPress space since then. We've gone to a few WordCamps outside of Israel together.
We did. Yeah. Why do you love WordCamps so much? I feel like you've been to 320 WordCamps.
Yeah, something like that. When I think that the first WordCamp that I traveled to outside of Israel was the first WordCamp Europe. Like WordCamp Europe is one of the flagship WordPress conferences, and they just until that point the main one was happening only in the US, and a bunch of people in the community got together and said, let's do one in Europe, and they did it in Leiden in the Netherlands, and it was an amazing experience, and that took my WordPress experience for me to another level because it was really engaging with the community and seeing what it's like to collaborate with people who aren't like necessarily right next to you or that you've known for a while. It really was a matter of expanding my horizons. So I really loved that, being able to meet new and different people and connecting more strongly with the WordPress community.
You know, people think being online all the time is all that, but it's really being in person that makes it makes the community gel together. I
think we all hope, and to a certain extent we function in the way that we operate through video, right? Through digital communication, and it's very effective, and it does, it gets you a lot of the way there, but there's nothing like the real face-to-face meeting and relationship that you create by actually going to these conferences. They're more real and more authentic, and you can really get to know someone that way. Whereas digitally, there's kind of always like a screen. There's literally a screen between you and the person all the time until you meet face to face. And I think one of the great things about the WordPress community is that people really become friends.
Yeah.
And we keep showing up to these WordCamps, and then we strengthen our relationships and get to know each other better and better, more and more. And it's a weird aspect of WordPress, because WordPress, what is it? It's a piece of software, right? Yeah. It's like code. And so what is inclusive about code, and welcoming about code? But any product, and I think we can relate to that here at Elementor, it's built by people, and we need to work together as people and have a good relationship as people. So it's the same with an open source project. But the difference there is that you have people coming from all different companies, even competing companies, working together to make this one product, WordPress, great. It's strange, and it's great and wonderful.
I think the reason that all these people are coming together also is like they're paying homage or something. Like every one of those people is making their livelihood from WordPress. And we've been doing that for 17, 18 years. And like, I think showing up at these WordCamps and being present and supporting the community and doing whatever we can, whether it's volunteering or sponsoring or anything like that, it shows that we're still here and we want to be thankful and showing our appreciation. I think people are really excited to meet you in person, especially when you're a speaker. You speak in front of all these people, and so basically they all know you. And then one by one you get to know them as they come up and talk to you, or as you meet them later on. I think it really puts like a personal face and a relatable person behind something that may seem corporate to some, but you know that it's really just a bunch of people working together every day to try to improve a product and create new products. But maybe from the outside they just kind of see it as like a corporate entity. So I think your role is really important in making Elementor relatable and making sure that people can approach Elementor with basically whatever they want, and to know that there is someone listening on not just one person, a whole team.
I hope I'm achieving that. From my perspective, everyone in the WordPress community is important. From top level executives at the biggest companies in the space, who I have relationships with them, to newcomers, people who are just starting to use the product, or new plugin developers. As a person who founded 2 companies in the space and a product company, I have a lot of empathy towards them and what they're going through, and I want to help them as much as I can as well. And after joining Elementor, so I started to attend WordCamps as part of Elementor. And what was interesting to me and very motivating was to see how many people came over to our booth just to tell us how much they love Elementor, and how, more than that, Elementor is a power tool for them, and in many cases, and it sounds cliche, changed their life, meaning they were able to build businesses around Elementor and offering Elementor services and provide a living to themselves and their families anywhere in the world. So actually, I mentioned that we sponsor the flagship WordCamp conferences, but we recently, for the first time, sponsored WordCamp Sylhet in Bangladesh. we have some team members there. And so they went, we had a booth, and they represented us. And the love for Elementor, specifically, let's say in the Sylhet or Bangladesh community, is incredible because it's such a meaningful tool for them. And we see that in many communities around the world, and our user base is wide and global. And, you know, in almost every country, you'll find people using Elementor. On the way back from Taiwan, we were in the airport waiting for our connecting flight from Taiwan. And these people were like, come sit with us, come sit with us. They recognized me because I had spoken, and maybe they knew me already. And some of our team was, I think, wearing Elementor t-shirts. And they were like Elementor users in the airport as well. And they wanted to talk to us. And actually, I experienced that a lot after WordCamps. I'm just wandering through the airport and people are like, hey, because they appreciate what we do and want to express it. It's really motivating and inspiring to hear that from the community.
No, basically, I'm your biggest fan, Miriam. Really and truly, after all these years.
Oh, Becca, stop it.
Really and really and really truly. And yeah.
I couldn't have done anything that I did without you. And it's mutual fandom. So, and I'm so grateful that we get to continue working together. No, you're the best.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Elementox.